This conference will now be recorded.
So, hello all, welcome back for another session on performance testing using Neoload. So, we will take a quick recap on what we had done in the previous session. Yes, so we had just started with the session and we discussed about the unauthenticated workflow. Okay, so there are ideally two types of workflows. One is unauthenticated and another one is authenticated. In the last session, we looked at on the unauthenticated workflow. So Mahesh is saying he is unable to hear my voice. Uh, okay, Upendra is confirmed he can hear my voice. So not really sure. Okay. Uh, Ramya or Narendra, can you hear my voice? Am I audible?
Yes, Naveen.
Okay. Okay. Mahesh, I believe it is from your end. So let me just type it to him. Okay, so let's continue with the session. Yes, so we just discussed on the unauthenticated workflow, and we just recorded a simple workflow, right? Okay. So, let's continue on this. So this is a demo application, which is an e-commerce application where they sell pets. Okay, and so as we discussed from the retail or from the e-commerce side, 98 percentage of the transactions or the traffic that any e-commerce site gets is usually unauthenticated workflow. Okay, unauthenticated transactions, which means the end user is not identified, or we do not know, or the server does not know who is browsing it, although there are some information that the browser can get, like maybe the client information or where the traffic is coming from, probably the origin of the request, and so on and so forth. That basic details can be identified, but which user, a specific user related data will not be available, right? Okay, so we just worked on one of the workflow which goes by like this, like a launch, clicking on fish, clicking on angelfish, selecting an item, and then coming back to the home page. Okay, so we just launched it. So clicking on fish, clicking on angelfish, selecting an item, and then coming back to the home page. Okay, so this is in unauthenticated workflow. So in today's session, we are going to look at authenticated workflow. Okay. So as I mentioned, for authenticated workflows, we will have a sign in or some kind of transaction will be getting passed. Okay. So let's check. So I'm just trying to see if there is a. Okay, so I try to log in with the username and password. Seems it is not. Uh, Probably the registration got expired. So let me go ahead and register a new user. Okay, so I'm just creating a new user. I'm keeping the user ID as JPET user and password as JPET user. Okay, so I'll just give a neutral name. Okay, something like S name and S name, something like this. Country, I'm just giving as it is. Okay, so that we will know that these are the information that is being used for during the registration. Okay, and I'm just selecting the language preference as English and favorite category as fish, and then I'm saving and saving this. Now I think the new user is being created. Okay, so let me check it out whether if this is working. I think I have typed wrong name, so let me check once again. Okay, now I'm able to sign in to this e-commerce website. So let's now try to record an authenticated workflow. Let's see the difference. Okay, so I'm just going ahead and starting the recording. Okay, I'm going to change this name as auth underscore browse, which refers to authenticated browse. Okay, and then we are going to choose web as the protocol, as this is a web application. Okay, and I'm going to use Internet Explorer as the client. uh, we can change the client or the browser. Client can also be called as the browser. Okay, so these are the browsers that are already available in my system. Okay, that is what we are currently seeing it. Okay, so I'll just go ahead with the Internet Explorer and then I'm going to record this. Okay, so the recording has started and I'm seeing the recording bar. Okay, I'm going to launch it. The transaction, I'm just giving the name as launch.
Naveen, I have a question. Where do you really put this URL?
You can put it here in the address bar. You'll be able to do that. Okay,
Okay.
so launch. After launch, I want to sign in. I'm signing in. Then after sign in, so I'll give the username and the password. I'm just clicking on login. Now I have
So
logged in.
I have
This is
I have a question. Sorry to interrupt.
yeah.
Um,
Please tell.
each time you want to do a new transaction, you need to set up the name of the next transaction before going to
Right.
the page. That's right?
Correct. You're right.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
So let's say like from this page, I'm going to click fish. So what I'll do is I'll just change the transaction name like this, click fish, and then I'll click on the fish. Now this will be
Okay,
recorded into the click fish. Okay.
okay,
So I'll further continue with this. Okay. Click angelfish. So I'll click on this product. Now I'm into the angelfish. So here again I'm going to select one of this item. So I'm selecting the first one, selecting the item, and then from here I decide to go back to the home page. Okay, so I'm going back to the home page. Now from here I'm signing out from the system. So I have signed out. Okay, so once we have completed all of our recordings, we can click on the stop button. Okay, so this will close the sessions, and then a post recording wizard gets opened. Okay, so after this gets opened, we can just here what we will be able to see is a list of hosts that are been recorded in this specific script. Okay, so here since this is a demo application, we see only one host being recorded. Ideally in real life examples, we will get a series of hosts like gstatic, maybe a social media handles, or like Twitter, Facebook, all these extra things, maybe maps, Google Maps. all of those gets recorded here. So we have to uncheck which all that is not required, and we have to check only that is required from here. Okay, so here this is required, so I
So
just
mainly,
leave it as
so
it is.
here we usually select our application server detail only, correct?
Right, you're right.
Not other
So
application server. Okay.
not others. So after
So
this,
that's
click on
I
next.
have a
Yes.
question related to that. So it's going to interrupt again. So you select only the application and the related page related to the application, but there is also sometimes, as you mentioned, sometimes you have some social media and so on related
Uh-huh.
to the application. So do we
Uh-huh.
select this or not? For example, if I have the page, in the page I have some button, I don't know, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. So it should be
Yes.
part of the system. We cannot uncheck this.
Yes, you have to uncheck those. Those are like those are can be called as third party. Okay.
Okay, okay,
So when we are benchmarking the application, these
okay,
third parties are not supposed to be selected, because we are
okay,
that is not in our scope.
okay,
Ideally, if we want to
okay,
do a performance, we have to
okay,
select only the servers which are in our interest. Okay. For example,
okay,
here this is the host that we have to select. Anything that
okay,
comes beyond this host, we have to unselect it. That is
okay,
not required. Okay.
okay. That's cool.
Okay. So to continue with that, so after this, we will get this page, which is a dynamic parameters. Okay. What this does is it will search for a dynamic values, and then it tries to automatically correlate it. Okay. For now, we will skip this step so that we can understand the difference between the authenticated workflow, authenticated and unauthenticated. Okay. Um, this is
Can
useful.
we have can we have this because I really need to understand that how does it really searches for
Yes,
the
yes.
dynamic
We
parameters?
will do that after the
Okay,
comparison. We will do it. Okay.
okay.
Okay, fine. So for now, I'm skipping this step. Okay, and I'll here we will record the think time. Okay, so for now we can just leave it as it is. Okay, use recorded think time. Okay, and then there is a form based authentication. Okay, so if there are forms that is getting posted in our script, probably we will encounter this web page where it will show there are certain form of authentication that are there. Okay, so again I'm not going to fidget any of this. Okay, I'm just going to uh, the next and then I'll finish it. Okay, now we have recorded. Okay, now we have two different recordings. Okay, uh, one is unauthenticated, another one is authenticated. Okay, so the only difference between these two are, so there are two extra transactions. Okay, sign in and click login. Okay, so before we check these transactions, let's have a quick comparison between these two. Okay, so okay, I'm
Naveen,
just simply to disable this.
sorry to interrupt you. I have one question. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Suppose I directly click to finish, like when I select that orange port,
Uh-huh.
like pet portal, and the option is next, next, next. Instead of next, I'm directly finish. Then what is the difference?
No difference.
So we
You
perform
can
both ways,
directly
right?
finish.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. You can directly finish it also. That is, there will be not any difference. Okay, okay, fine.
Yeah,
So we
Naveen,
are
it's an
just.
inbuilt path, right?
Uh-huh.
It's an inbuilt path, or we need to change?
Sorry, I did not get you.
Yeah, I mean asking Figat because someone is asking the question, right? But we go to next step to finish, right?
Uh-huh. Yes.
In this case, it's an inbuilt scenario.
I'm not able to get your question. Maybe see what I would suggest is let's keep all the questions in the Q&A session. Let me come to a logical ending in this, and then we will explore the questions. Okay, then I'll take
Yeah,
the
sure,
question.
sure. Man.
Okay, fine. Okay, got it. Okay, so so let's have a quick comparison with the launch transaction. So what we see is there is an catalog action, which is the main request. Okay, and then followed by the non-HTML resources. Okay, similarly, what we see here, there is a main request and followed by the non-HTML resources. Okay, this is the launch. Okay, I am now opening the, so I am just disabling these requests. Okay, it's not necessary. Okay. So in the sign in, uh, so what I see is there is a some kind of an ID is getting passed. Okay, and then there is a parameter which is getting passed. Okay, so this is for the unauthenticated browse. So for the authenticated browse, a similar uh, ID is getting passed, but there is no what is that category. There is no category values getting passed. Okay, oh sorry, supposed to
Could you please
guide.
just highlight that? What are you explaining? Because
Uh-huh. Yes, so I'm just comparing the fish. Okay, so if we compare the fish with the unauthenticated, there is a session ID getting passed. With authenticated, there is nothing but only the parameter. Okay, so
okay,
let's expand the others. Okay, okay, so if we quickly see, right, it is almost same, right? Angelfish, there is nothing here. Okay, so again with the selecting item, so there is, we can see item ID is est1. Again with this, there is an est1, and then finally coming back to the home page, there is a catalog dot action, which is the main request, and then there is a sign out transaction. Okay. Okay, now we will look into these two transactions, which is extra, right? So this is in sign in. Okay, there is nothing major is getting passed. Okay, and here click login. Okay, so we if we can remember, right, this part when we were logging in. Okay, we just gave only this information, that is username and password. Okay, username jpet user and password is also jpet user we have sent, and these are the two different values which is also getting passed along with this values. Okay, so if we why these dynamic values first of all got generated. Okay, so this is the values, the dynamic values, which determines a certain kind of authorization. Okay, that is why whenever there is a login action is happening, or whenever there is a critical transaction is happening, so let's say there is a payment is happening, or maybe we are entering some certain details, maybe we are updating the address book, or doing such critical transactions. These transactions ideally will have these kind of dynamic values. Okay, and we have to handle these dynamic values so that the script will work fine. Okay, and handling this dynamic values is called as correlation. Okay, and with neoload, there are different types of correlations which we can take advantage of. Okay, first is what we can learn is a simple autocorrelation. So what I'm doing is I'm just duplicating this authenticated browse. Okay, I'm just going to rename this. Okay, I'm going to rename this as a AC. Okay, so after recording, after we see this post recording wizard. Okay, let's say we did not go ahead with the dynamic parameters. What we can do is we can invoke it again by clicking on this button. Okay, keeping the cursor here, auth underscore browse in this, and then clicking on this will bring up the search for dynamic parameters. Okay, and click on next. So what this will do is, first it will check from the frameworks. Okay, framework, there is a separate session on framework which we will learn as this session progress. Okay, so it says like there is no framework rules found. Okay, that it did not found anything from the framework perspective, and I'm just clicking on next. Okay, so now what it is doing is it is searching for the generic dynamic parameters, which means it is looking for those random dynamic values which are getting passed in the parameters. Okay, and it has searched, and it is saying like these are the values that it has found. Okay, what are the parameters that it has found? It has found source page and fp as this uh, variables which needs to be handled. Okay, so we can
So
just
only
simply
this
click on.
value is really required to be correlated, correct?
Sorry.
This is the only value which need a correlation.
Correct, this is the value which needs to be correlated, which is found by neoload. Okay,
Okay,
you get it.
okay,
Oh, okay, fine.
okay.
So far neoload is able to identify these are the values that it is able to identify, that is all. Okay, so these two values are there. Okay, so we can just simply click on finish. Okay, so now let me open this. Okay, so under login we saw this okay, so under accounts we saw this, right? Source page and then fp, we saw it. So if we go here, so you see this, something has happened here, right? So the let's see what all the change that has happened. Okay, the first change what it has happened is the request type itself have got changed. Okay, so neoload has the ability to change your request type itself. Okay, that is what it happened, it has changed the request type. This is one thing that has happened. And from the post parameter perspective, there are new variables which got created by neoload itself, and then that also got changed. Okay, so here if we see it here, so for source page and fp, it has created some variables by itself. Okay, and also the post content type. So for example, if we see this, right, the method is post, and post content type is a simple form. Okay, the form is this the form is the actual content type that is supposed to be sent along with the request. But what happened here, neolod has um, changed in such a way that it is now extracting some data from the previous form, although there is a the content type did not change. Okay, so you see how much change that it has imposed on this specific request by simply enabling the autocorrelation. Okay, autocorrelation is good, but at times what happens, right, it might change the framework of this request, and then that might create a different issue altogether. Okay, this could be one of the reason why autocorrelation is uh, not recommended. Okay, so what has happened, we actually don't know what actually happened, right? Neurode has automatically went ahead, and then it has done some things, and then now the correlation is done for this, for these two values. So here the correlation is automatically done. Okay, fine.
Just to be clear, the correlation has been done between two user paths or in the click logging action file.
Sorry, are you asking whether if this autocorrelation is done for both auth browse and this one, or is it
Uh,
only for this?
I'm just asking to understand what is behind the correlation. Is the correlation is only for one scenario, which means the click and logging and the neoload do the correlation,
Yes, yes.
or
Let
it's
me
in
explain.
between two user paths?
Okay,
I just want to understand what is behind the correlation, what they call correlation.
got it. Yes, okay. So first, let's try to understand on how this correlation happens. Okay. So as I said, right, the fundamental difference between two types of transaction is either it is authenticated or unauthenticated. Okay. When we look at these transactions, that is launch, fish, click fish, selecting item, all of these transactions are kind of neutral transaction. It does not have any authentication in place. Okay. But when we see this transaction, right, clicking login, if we see this, there are some dynamic values. See, you see this is some random values is getting passed along with the username, and auto password, this is supposed to be the password. Okay, so I'll just open the uh, variables and then I'll show you. So you see this, right, jpet user, this is what it is getting passed. Okay, so let me share this. Okay, so I'm just signing out. Okay, I'm signing in, and then I'm just opening in this Google Chrome dev tool. Okay, I'm going to simply log in. Okay, so while logging in, I'm giving only the username and the password. Okay, I'm not giving anything else. Okay, so let's check the account action. Okay, so what is being sent? Okay, see here, the username jpet user, password, we can see it. Along with that, you see this, right, source page, some random value, and then again fp, some random value. Okay, these are, these random values are the dynamic variables, and these are the dynamic variables that we need to correlate. Okay, so how do we do that? Okay, one thing is we have to identify where this value is getting generated. Okay, so for example, if we see this, right, so let me show you, demonstrate you how this can be identified. Okay, so I'm just simply opening it. Okay, and I just copy this copy this value, this entire dynamic variable. Okay, and then I use the flag. Okay, and I'm going to search this specific value in the recorded response. Okay, so now here what we see is in the sign in page. Okay, in this request, that specific value is appearing. Okay, so how we can go ahead and check it? We have to go to this advanced. Okay, under this recorded response, I'm just using control find, control F, and then I'm pasting this value. Okay, so after I paste this value, what I see there is a name is source page, and the value is that specific value. Not just that, followed by I also see FP, and then followed by this value, that is it starts from HUQ, something like this. Okay, so it's HUQ. Okay, something like this. Okay, so these two dynamic values are appearing in this response. So what we have to do is we have to capture these values and then pass it down to this, uh, replace it, pass it down to the subsequent request. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at the autocorrelation. Okay, so here what we see is there is some form value, something is getting passed. Okay, and we knew that those two values are appearing in this request. Okay, so if we go to advanced, and then if we go to wait, let me check. Okay, so what happened here is new load has created uh, its own way of extracting those two values. Okay, it is extracting it from right here. Okay, as you can see the gear symbol, right? So if we simply double click and check it, so this is the value that it is supposed to extract, and it is extracting it from here. Okay, and we can also see the name that it is automatically created. Okay, this can be manually created. We can uh, do a manual correlation and then do it. So let me quickly show the previous batch one of the manual correlation, how it is done. Okay, so that I'll give some time for the questions, right? I think some few folks are wants to. Okay, so if we see this, right, so these are the two source page and FP are the two values that needs to be correlated, and we found that it is getting generated from the previous request. Okay, if we simply go to advanced and if we go to variable extractor, here is where we have to create these values. Okay, so in the upcoming session I will show you, I will demonstrate how this is created and then demonstrated. So
It
before
will be good if you'll just for one value if you can show us that
okay,
manual correlation. Yeah.
okay,
One more thing, how we will where we'll get the correlation and what is there any best
no,
practice
it will
for this?
take a lot of time for that, and it will be a little bit hurry kind of thing. Okay, but I don't mind showing it. So okay, so let's say I'm doing the manual correlation. So I'll go here, I'll go to advanced, and then I'll go to variable extractor. So what I'm currently correlating is the source page. So let's say I'm just giving the name as source page. And then here there is a starting with and ending with. Okay. I'm using the text picker to search for the same value. And then I'm giving this as the left boundary. And for the right boundary, I'll give after the value whatever that gets appears. So I'll click on OK. Now I have created one of these value. Okay, if I simply click on search and replace, so now it is not replacing it. So we have to identify whether if there is only one value or more than one value. Okay, to do that I have to click on extract all occurrence, which will extract all the occurrences that appears between those two boundaries starting with and ending with. Okay, here I can see there is a comma here, so there is more than one value is getting generated. Okay, that so there are two values are there. So the second value is the value is in our interest. Okay, so I'm just changing the occurrence to number 2. Okay, and then I'll select this. Now if I search and replace, I'm able to see this. Okay, and then I can simply replace it. Okay, now I have replaced it. Now this value is being correlated. Okay, so that's the manual correlation. It's very simple. and there are more ways of doing it. So there is automatic configuration, there is advanced correlation that we will be learning it. Okay. Okay, so that's the manual correlation. Okay, so any questions?
But in your
uh,
training session that you are going to explain that how to, I mean, in detail, this correlation part.
yes, yes, definitely.
So I have a question.
Hmm.
Why do we have a check on the action? It's because you have done the correlation stuff?
No, I have used the flag.
Ah, okay, you
So
have used the flag. With
yes,
the
if I
flag,
click on none and if I close it, the checkpoint will go off. Yes.
okay, why did you use the flag just to know which on which part
Yes,
you want to work? It's
correct.
only that's the advantage of using the flag?
So
Or
flag, so there is again a separate session just on the flag, right?
on the
Okay, so
flag,
what?
okay.
Yes, what is the use of flag is we can search and identify specific things
Hmm.
in the script. Okay, so for
Okay.
example, if we want to see here, I will just quickly walk you through. Like
Hmm.
so, with variable means we can find certain variable that can be used as a variable extractor or as in the request or the
Hmm.
definition or in the recorded response, or we can simply click on this, right? So if I give this which all the requests that got disabled, it will get selected. See, for example, if I go here and then if I click on this, see this, right? If I just
Hmm.
select this disabled, now
Hmm.
I'm able to see these are the two transactions that got selected. See this, right? So whichever
Okay.
the requests that I disabled it, there is
Hmm.
a checkpoint over there. So if I
Okay.
just
So
click
you
on
can
none,
just block it
yes,
or okay.
correct.
Okay, okay. Or
We can,
put some parameters on it.
uh, true.
Okay.
So using this flag, we can locate, identify some transactions or some requests based on certain attributes that will be able to do that.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So any questions? So I'm seeing. So guys, you can also use the chat box and then type it in and send the
No,
questions.
for the correlation, am I right? Basically, if you have the multiple correlation, am I right? Basically, how we need to identify which request I will get it. Is there any way technique? That's what.
Sorry, if there is multiple correlation means.
Yeah, if you have the multiple correlation, okay, in the
Uh-huh.
multiple requests, okay.
Okay.
Basically, how will identify which request we have the correlation? Is there any technique? Okay, that is the way we need to identify. Right now, here we have the launch, sign in, and some of the requests also we got the correlation, am I right?
Uh-huh.
So we need to go one by one sequentially, or
Yes.
basically,
I have to go one by one sequentially.
okay. So, but how is which is the difficult? Basically, in Lorena, is the easy, or here in Neolord is the easy for the correlation point of view?
So both are different tools, right? So if we want to do, if your only concern is only about correlation or developing the script, definitely Neoload is very simple and easy. It's quite intuitive, okay, to develop it. But if you are also your focus is on so let's say you need to have a multiple protocol support, and there is it is complete two different aspects that we are looking at. So definitely, if you are just using a simple web application, uh, and you're looking to quickly develop, and then and you're also looking to save some of the cost, right? Then definitely you can go ahead with the new load. Yeah. So it is definitely simple to
I mean,
code
what
like
I
this.
really understood, it's always a correlation is always a pain area for performance testing.
No, with Neoload I mean it is quite interesting and it will be really easy to do it. So as we learn, right? So as you
Yeah,
can see, as you have seen, right? This manual correlation, how simple it was. Since somebody was requested that I need to show it, so I had just squeezed it in within that time frame.
yeah.
Tomorrow we will be seeing it in detail, definitely, uh,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Yes.
If to be true, if I really learn this correlation part from
Hmm.
Neoload, I will be done with this training. I mean, the
Oh
objective
my
of
God.
learning Neoload will be get done for me. If I'll be good
Absolutely.
after on completion of this training, if I feel comfortable that okay, I am able to do the correlation, then the
Don't
objective
worry.
will be met.
Yes, yes, I get you. I get you. I do agree that just correlation alone amounts to 80 to 85 percentage of the script development activity, right? So if we just
Yes,
get the correlation right, then 85% of the script development is done. So that's
done.
how it is,
Correct.
right?
Yes, yes.
So I do
Yeah,
agree on it,
yeah, because most of the script we are challenging on the correlation only. Yeah, when I was working with
right?
the load, and yeah, basically that's why we need to see the how the complexity in new load, because the client
True,
is
true.
migrating from the loader to new load. Yeah, basically we need to see that is the complex. They need to work on both web as well as the
Mm.
mobile application. Okay,
Correct, correct, correct.
yeah.
I agree.
So that's why we are asking the similar question. Yeah,
Yes.
how difficult in the correlation new load and how what are the challenges we need to see. Yeah.
It is quite simple. So as we progress we will learn about that as well, like in the so we will be having one more demo, I think, tomorrow same time. So we will discuss on the properly on detailed on the manual correlation and you know uh, the maybe
Correct.
checking the user path and the other things which
If
will
you
be.
will just keep focusing on this in demo only for that
Hmm.
correlation, no, I think
Mhm.
we will gain the required confidence for the enrollment.
Yes, I got it. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely, yes.
Otherwise, do you want to look on the other web-based application other than this Parrot, am I right? You need to try some other retail domain site like the Walmart.com. Something you need to try how we need to do. That is the way we need to.
Yeah, I mean, we need to try different application, right?
Yeah, which are the complexity, then we can
So like
basically.
Orange HRM.
Yeah,
Naveen?
Yes.
Yeah, we need to try different application, right? For we are always all are working on JPit store. Like we
I
need to
mean,
try different.
yeah, I'm happy to take any application, provided if you can share me whichever application that you would like to
Yeah, yeah,
check it. I'd be happy
yeah.
to see and try to record and what is happening with that. But directly taking on a real real life applications definitely will get really confusing, especially for the newcomers or the beginners, right? Maybe if
Yes,
you are
yes.
in the advanced area, we can have a separate neoload advanced session, it's altogether, right? So that the other folks does not get overwhelmed with the kind of complexity that we get into, right? So
And
that's the
tomorrow I
whole
have a
idea
session.
of keeping, selecting the JPEG store. Why we, sticking to that is so that it looks really simplistic and it is easy to understand. It is easy
Yes,
to
yes.
grasp on that.
Yeah, tomorrow we have session. Like we can write. There is no session, so we can.
Uh, let me confirm on the group. Yes. So I'm
Yeah,
not
sure.
really sure, but if we have a session tomorrow, uh, so that will be the most probably the last demo. I'm not sure, but we can continue. Yes.
Yeah, sure, Naveen. Thank you.
yeah. For tomorrow's session, you need to more consider the correlation that are also basically what you need to cover. Okay, the in detail more based on that in the coming training session. Okay, we'll go for the elaboration more.
So this, so let me once again share right? So what we are going to cover, I think if there is some query on that, so let me quickly share on this. Okay, so this is the last batch script. I'm just sharing it once again. There are some of the new folks who are here, okay, who doesn't know it. So we will be learning about different types of workflows, and then we will get into different types of correlations. So this 5 different scripts, what we see is all about correlation, and there is a parameterization, there is assertions, which is validations, okay, and there are other different types of you know the user roles, right? Based on that, it is changed, and some of the logical actions that we have seen, this comes in the advanced part. So before we get into here, we will design the population, and then we will create the monitors with the, and we will learn some of the performance counters, and in the runtime we will create and set up different types of scenarios, and we will go do the execution, and also we will be exploring a lot of results, right? We will be executing some of the tests, and we will explore into the rendezvous, etc., right? So this is a short crux about this course and what we are going to learn. Okay. Okay, so any more questions? Okay. uh,
So one more thing, Naveen, for this, all of them, people who will aware the performance testing, or some of them, those will be new to the performance testing.
um, so all of them are most of them are beginners. Some of the folks are in the intermediate, or even some of them are even in advanced. Okay. Yeah.
And you are mentioning advanced neo load, am I right? That's what my question basically.
Because some of them wanted to see something really complex, right? So there are some complex applications which is developed in Salesforce or Flex or even Pega, right?
That's true.
We can take. I mean, if Upendra, if you are able to identify such demo applications which has really complex, just for advanced folks, we can have a separate session on it, okay, so that the beginners or the starters does not get startled by the kind of they, so that they don't get overwhelmed. So if you are able to find a Flex application or a Pega application, Salesforce, or even a Siebel application, we can definitely work on it, because it will have different types of complexity, and there are different challenges that we see, that we'll be able to work on it.
Sure, Naveen, no problem. Understood. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So anybody else has any question? Ramya, Ganesh, anything from you folks?
Naveen, what about the Neolode web?
Yes, Neolode Web. Let me check on this, and then update you separately or on the group. I really got held up with a lot of things, and I've completely forgotten. Apologize for it. Let me find out. Let me find out an update on. Okay, sorry for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is the neo load UI. That's what you were saying, Naveen. The neo load web is the, again, you were talking about different protocol. That's what.
No, no, no. Neolode Web is kind of a performance center for LoadRunner. Okay, where there can be multiple stakeholders. They can execute or monitor the test or something like that. It is kind of hosted on web, so it is called as Neolode Web, right?
Okay. But here we
Yep.
have the one more thing will be there, am I right? Like the population.
Huh?
Population is not similar to the performance center.
No, no, no. Population is more like it is used for grouping and used for workload distribution. Okay. Performance center is equal to neoload web, and a controller is, I mean, load runner's controller is equal to this runtime. Okay, I hope that answers the question.
Naveen, I have a
Oh,
question. Is it
yes.
possible to split the entire flow of a one transactions, like start from TTF and how much of a DNS it's been taking out for one of the demo sessions or demo flow, so that which is the major junk it has been creating it, how to debug it, and those kind of information will be useful.
So you're asking to split the workflow, right? So
Uh,
just verify my understanding. So let's say we take this as the workflow. So do you want to split in between?
let's take it out one scenario. Put it as one
Mhm.
scenario. Let's go from rather than as one transactions or one transaction. I want to see like what are all the various chunk of timings on that part. Like if I say if I go for a carting, I mean I add an item into my basket. What is the
Okay.
time it takes, or what it times takes for the DB side of it? How much of uploading part? Those kind of splitting the informations on the timing section. Is it possible?
Yes, that you'll be able to see it in the results. So what you're asking is you want to do some analysis, right? That is like the response time of this specific transaction, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, and in between, like, is it possible to add the script and say, okay, well, I want to get a response on each side of it? I think it is possible. Looks like we can able to add an assertion and saying it out. These are the times in which I want to see it out. In case if the call goes beyond the time part of it, it should fail.
Yes, I mean, so if we see this, right? So there are multiple ways to do it. One is
Mhm.
we can put a duration assertion on this.
Mm.
So, for example, if you want to load this within a certain time, let's say like 300 ms, you can virtually put it here and then make it fail. But it is not a recommended way of doing it, right? So, whichever whatever that happens, so let the execution go. I mean, let it run. Okay, we do not really put any duration assertion on any of this. Uh, you know, uh, these records that exists for a different reason altogether. Okay, that when we learn in the course that I will tell you like why it is first of all that exists, and why and where how we have to use it. Okay, the best way is we just go and execute it, and then in the results, maybe in the transactions, we'll be able to see it, right? See, for example, if we see, um, so let's say I'll change, I'll switch it to a different execution, and I'm just seeing it. um, so you were asking, so let's say select item is the transaction that is in our interest. Okay, we can easily see this select items 98 percentage is so where is it? It's around 1.163. Uh, you know, this is its response time value. Okay, if we
Yeah.
virtually try to put, let's say, like less than point 0.1 or something like that, right? So almost all the transactions will have a failure, and then it there is a chance that it might give a different uh, view altogether. Okay.
Uh, So I'm more interested in those kind of bit more technically on the scripting levels, how we can able to do those kind of scenarios. Uh,
Sure.
is it
That is
possible to
that is
troubleshoot?
also uh, that is also covered as we progress into the runtime and then into the results, right? That we will be learning as well. Okay.
And you've been talking about the mobile part also, right? It's in the advanced sections, covering on different
Yes.
mobile.
So, so for the mobile, right? So what we are planning is we can try host for the iOS device, but I'm just there are certain infra requirement, right? So how I'm just we are just working on how we can show the screen. Let's say I'm using a screen with me, right? I'm using a device with me, so whatever I'm doing it on the device, that should be shown or that should be displayed on the uh, to the uh, to the learners. So that we are still working on it. So if at all if we are doing a mobile related, right, that will be a separate sessions altogether. That will not be included in the current session. For current, what we are having is both the web and the APIs is what we will be doing it. Okay, for sure. We will try to implement or include this mobile also. Okay. Okay. Fine. So any more questions, or we can wrap it up? Okay. So I will keep the group updated. So I'm unsure if we are having a session tomorrow. If we are having a session tomorrow, so let's continue with that. Okay.
Thanks, Naveen. I hope we will be having that session tomorrow and we'll be focusing on to the correlation. That
Absolutely,
will give
yes.
us, that will give us a real confidence for enrollment.
Definitely, sure.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Naveen. Thanks a lot.
Okay then. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Naveen. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.